You're probably starting to feel it. Less energy, more belly, workouts that aren't fitting into your schedule anymore. You need to build muscle to reclaim your health, but you need something that fits into your schedule, your routines, and your life now. Because if you keep putting this off, you're risking further disease and detriment to your health and missing out on some precious moments with your kids. In this video, I want to show you a practical, time-efficient approach to rebuild your strength and take back your health. This stuff isn't magic, it's science. I'm going to explain to you exactly why at 40 plus, you have some muscle building advantages over your 20-year-old self. I'm Neil, and over the last 12 years, I've spent time training everyone from elite military athletes to busy executives to just regular old guys. And the most dramatic changes that I've seen have actually come from just the regular dudes like you. It's true. I have a client who was working 50-hour weeks in his 50s, and he did exactly that. He's a real person, but we're gonna change his name and just call him Jake. Jake works 50-hour weeks, has 3 kids, and has put more muscle on in the past 18 months than he did when he was in his 20s. One of my highlights from working with Jake is when he recalled the story about his son pointing at his stomach, what used to be a belly there and is now a six-pack, and saying, "Dad, you look like a superhero." That was the highlight of my week, maybe my month. And now that son is going to the gym with him on a consistent basis as well, whereas before he wasn't touching a weight. We're talking generational change here. You see, kids are terrible at doing what you tell them to do, but they are excellent at doing what they see you do. Here's what no one tells you about building muscle after 40. Your recovery systems are more mature. While your testosterone might be lower, your body has decades of movement patterns that it's made really efficient. Your mind-muscle connection is sharper than it was, and you know how to push effectively without letting your ego get in the way. Second, you have consistency advantage. The guy in his 20s might show up to the gym and hit it hard and be totally fine the next day, but they're not being consistent with it. You can, you will, because you know how important it is. You show up every week, you follow a plan, and you stay consistent with it. That's gonna be intensity every time when it comes to muscle growth. Third advantage, your nutrition game is stronger. You don't try to go with pizza and beer and then get into a hard workout anymore. You know how it affects your body and you know how it can impact your recovery. Because muscle growth happens in the kitchen and what you do with your sleep, just as much as what you do in the gym. So here's the exact framework that I use with my client, Jake. 3 to 4 hours in the gym a week. No more, no less. You heard me right. 3 focused hours per week. You don't need to spend hours in the gym. In fact, it can actually be to your detriment if you do so, because remember, recovery is where the muscle building happens. How I structure these workouts depends on if you're doing 2 or 3 days each week in the gym. But let's say you only make time for 2, an upper body and a lower body day. For an upper body day, I want you to structure it like this. Pick 4 exercises, something with a vertical pull, like a pull-up, something with a vertical push, like a military press or shoulder press, something with a horizontal push, bench press is a great example, and something with a horizontal pull, think rows. And for your lower body day, think squat and hinge. So back squat or front squat, hinge would be deadlift or a good morning. And then for your other 2 movements, maybe a forward or backwards lunge, and then ball slams. All of these movements are gonna work multiple muscle groups at one time, and it's gonna give you the biggest bang for your buck when it comes to time-efficient training. Sprinkle in some core and grip training, and there's your perfect 2-day split. If you want a perfect example of what I'm talking about, you can download it in the link below. And in order to see continued results, you need to focus on progressive overload. This is where you're adding weight, reps, or intensity to your sets over the course of weeks. This is something a lot of people mess up. Yes, focus on form. Make sure you're being safe, number 1. But as long as you can be safe and have 90% good form, you should be able to increase the weight over the course of the weeks. Or, like I said, keep the same weight and just increase the reps. And the intensity is the shorter rest duration between or the intensity of the actual movement. Think about regular push-ups versus plyometric push-ups, right? Where you're being really explosive. An example of what I did with Jake is we started with just body weight squats to a bench. I want to make sure he had the stability from his core as well as in his lower body in order to maintain proper form and the mobility that came along with it. Then slowly but surely, we started going full depth squats. Then we added a barbell And then now he's doing 95 pounds for reps. Now it took time to get there, but he was consistent with it. And we made small changes little by little over time. Think about water. If you take water and you run it down through a channel, hours, nothing. Days, nothing. Weeks, years even. But over the course of hundreds of years, that's going to create the Grand Canyon. Think about that the same way in your training. Make small changes little by little, and eventually it's going to amount into incredible results. Now, the reason Jake succeeded in his 50s where he failed in his 20s and 30s comes down to 3 things. Number 1, and I can't stress this enough, patience and persistence. He was looking to build something sustainable, something that he'd be able to continue for years and years and years down the line, whether we're working together or not. The second thing is setting the priority. He was able to make it work in his routine because he set it as like an appointment to himself. It was a priority for him. It wasn't just something that he could eventually get to, because then it never would happen. So he planned it around his lunch breaks and his kids' baseball games and his life that he already had built out, but he made it an appointment. Third, accountability and coachability. Jake asked questions constantly, and I loved it. That showed me that he really cared. And the accountability was there. He knew that every week I was checking in to make sure he was doing what he said he was gonna do. And he sure did, and that's why he saw the results he did. So if you're ready to start building muscle efficiently as well, here's your action plan. The first 2 weeks, just focusing on mastering the movements. Watch the videos you need to get that form right. Be safe, first and foremost. Next 2 weeks, add a little bit of weight. So long as it feels good and there's no pain, use the framework that I outlined earlier about the upper and lower body days and add a little bit of weight each week so that you can get progressively strong. Week 3 to 4, add in some variation. Make it fun. You've been doing this for a little bit now, so add in a different way of doing that same kind of exercise. So example, instead of just doing regular back squat, maybe you do front squat now, or you do squats with the dumbbells on your shoulders instead of barbell on your back. In each session, schedule like a meeting. You wouldn't miss an important client call, would you? This needs to have the same level of importance because it is just as, if not more important. Remember, you're doing this not just for yourself, but for your family. Now, here's the thing. Exercise is only part of the equation. You could have the perfect workout plan, but if your diet isn't there, then you're gonna be wasting your time. So watch this video to understand the science-backed ways to optimize your diet. Remember that your time is finite. It's the most valuable resource you have. And no matter where you go looking, you're not gonna find more. So you need to be more efficient with what you've got.